Controversy sells, and one creator who is a perfect example of this is Clavicular. In his recent and really rapid rise to fame, we've learned a lot about Clavicular. And depending on who you ask, he's either one of the most entertaining or one of the saddest content creators around. But he's not just interesting because of all the controversies that he's faced. He's interesting because people can't seem to stop watching. So, how did Clavicular become so famous so quickly? And more importantly, why are we all so fascinated by him? Hi, if you're new here or if you're returning, thank you and welcome back. On this channel, we discuss all things internet and pop culture related. So, before we get into why he's so popular, I do want to get into a little bit about who Clavicular is. His name is Braden Peters, and he was born on December 17th, 2005, which makes him only recently 20 years old. He's mainly known for his association with the Luxmaxing community. By now, most of us know what that is. But just in case you don't, it's basically just a group of incels who believe that you can reach all your goals and make yourself as physically attractive as possible through like very strange measures. And according to Clavicular himself, he has been participating in this community since he was only 14 years old when he started posting on looksmax.org, where people share tips on how to ascend and injecting himself with testosterone. He mentioned that he used to get in trouble for hiding this testosterone in his room and would be sent to his grandma's house. And that trouble did follow him into college. He started attending Sacred Heart University in the fall of 2024 and was expelled only several weeks later for hiding testosterone in his room. He says that the users on looksmax.org reported him to the school's administration, but who knows? Could have been a roommate, could have been somebody else. He has also stated that he's on the autism spectrum, though he hasn't been professionally diagnosed. And as of 2026, he does live in Miami. Clavicular really rose to fame throughout 2025, early 2025, all the way to the end. He was a streamer and he was posting on TikTok. Now he's on Twitch and Kick and TikTok. And he's participated in and really advocated for a lot of like the crazy looks maxing practices, such as bone smashing, which is a pseudoscientific practice involving hitting your bones with a hammer in order to have them grow back stronger. I mean, my master's degree is in communications. I know very little about science, but I just feel like that's not how bones work. But he has done this. He's advocated for it. He also admitted to taking crystal meth to stay lean and suppress his appetite. He's also spoken about taking anabolic steroids for several years to become more muscular and has actively spoken out against going to the gym, saying that there's no point unless you're on something.
Do you think working out is pointless if you're not on anything?
Yeah, I do. I think it's just going to be such a waste of time. It's going to take you years to get the same amount of results you otherwise could be in a matter of 6 to 12 months. So why would you not choose to go with the enhanced route? It's like just using a cheat code in a video game versus not. And people will say, oh, it's an enjoyable process, the journey along the way, and like working out. Going to the same place, doing the same thing for years, every single day is not really something that should be enjoyable. Not if you're...
By his own account, he claims that he can no longer produce his own testosterone and cannot have kids naturally on his own. I think the best route would probably be to go see an actual doctor and get tested, but far be it from me to suggest something that egregious. In 2025, he started selling a self-improvement and looks maxing course called the Clavicular System, which he then changed to Clavicular's Clan. This costs $50 a month, and the course just provides guidance on how to ascend properly, what peptides, measures, and supplements you need to take to do so. But his fame at this point has extended far beyond the looks maxing community. He's been discussed by Wired, The Atlantic, Rolling Stone, The Guardian, and most recently, the New York Times. These are all reputable news sources that are talking about a looks maxer. Clavicular has somehow sunk his claws into an audience likely larger than he could have ever imagined. But he didn't become famous through your typical streaming success. How he got famous was actually from a much more modern concept, which is the internet clip ecosystem. Unlike a lot of streamers who slowly have built their audiences over the years, Clavicular's content circulates far beyond his own streams. His clips are on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, where millions of people who might not even have known what looks maxing was, let alone who he was, are all of a sudden familiar with him and absorbing his content. And the thing about his content is that it is really clippable. His streams tend to revolve around extremely personal topics such as appearance, self improvement, relationships, internet culture. And the way that he talks about them is blunt. He's intense. And honestly, sometimes it's uncomfortable to watch, to listen to, or just like flat out wrong. That combination creates moments that people immediately want to react to. They want to argue about, they want to share it with their friends. It causes discussion and it causes controversy. And that's where his fame and issues really start to come into play. Because the internet isn't rewarding entertainment anymore these days. It does reward controversy and it rewards polarization. The more divided people are about a creator, the more engagement their content is likely to generate. Some viewers watch Clavicular because they genuinely support him or find him entertaining, but others watch him because they find him so strange and concerning and even sad. But in both cases, they are still watching. And that dynamic is a big part of what has fueled his insane and quick rise online. Some of his very many controversies include hitting a stalker with his Cybertruck in December of last year. This was, maybe a hoax, maybe not. It's hard to tell with streamers these days. But either way, it was probably his most viral moment. He also got arrested in Arizona only last month on suspicion of dangerous drug possession of Adderall and Anavar. And he also got in trouble for entering a bar using a fake ID. But perhaps most importantly is his association with right wing and incel creators such as Nick Fuentes, Andrew Tate, Sneeko, and Aiden Ross, just to name a few. This is really important because Clavicular loves to claim that he's not political. He actually says that politics is jester maxing. It's the most jester thing you can do. But I don't think that you get to take that stance, especially when the people who helped you build your platform and who you're currently surrounding yourself with have built their whole entire careers on a very specific political ideal. It's an incredibly privileged and ignorant take to have. And it's also ironic because he represents a very extreme version of a mindset that already has existed all over the internet. And for women, that is inherently political. The looks maxing community is made up of incels and alt-righters who genuinely believe that your appearance determines every aspect of your life, your success, your relationships, your self-worth. And while most people don't take that belief to the same extreme, a lot of people in one way or another are trying to improve and become the best possible versions of themselves. Clavicular takes that mentality and pushes it to the furthest extreme. From a really young age, he was documenting super intense attempts to change his physical appearance, and he did it publicly. Watching that unfold can create a very strange fascination and parasocial relationship among viewers. You're not watching a typical influencer, you're watching someone's personal experiment play out right in front of you. I think it's another reason that people are so drawn to him is that he represents something that's so common these days, which is a very thin line between self improvement and self destruction. His whole brand is built around the idea of becoming your best possible self, but the methods that he promotes are risky and extreme, or honestly, sometimes just scientifically wrong. And on one hand, self improvement is something most people aspire to. But on the other hand, the way that he promotes that ideology to such an extreme extent feels unsettling and worrisome. And I think that's where people say that they're so psychologically intrigued by him. His streams are so unpredictable and uncomfortable and often bizarre. And in a landscape where influencers are so curated and polished, Clavicular comes across as the exact opposite. He's raw, he's impulsive, he's unfiltered. And that kind of unpredictability is very powerful online. Viewers don't know what's going to happen next, which makes this content easy to clip and share, react to, and discuss. One moment can be viral so quickly, which brings in thousands of new viewers who are just curious to see what his content actually looks like. And that curiosity, I think, is the driving force behind his current popularity. A lot of people watching Clavicular aren't necessarily fans in a traditional sense. There, of course, are some viewers who genuinely support him and believe in his philosophies, but other people are watching because they genuinely find his worldview concerning and bizarre, and in many cases tragic. But the important thing is that both groups are still watching. We're participating in the same ecosystem, reacting, sharing clips, discussing him like I'm doing now. And in the modern internet economy, attention, whether it's positive or negative, is still attention. And in a lot of ways, Clavicular's rise isn't about, being controversial. It's about how we on the internet amplify extreme polarizing personalities that are hard to ignore. Some viewers do really like him and see him as someone who's brutally honest and believes in self improvement and is willing to push himself to an extreme that most people aren't. And for those viewers, he represents discipline, transformation, the idea that you can just radically change your life if you're willing to. I suggest genuinely looking into why you feel that way and maybe seeking help. But for the rest of us, the appeal is completely different. We're not watching Clavicular because we admire him. We're fascinated, and his streams feel like they're real time. I don't know, spirals into a specific ideology. The extreme routines and the substances and the discussions about ascending, everything is this maxing, that maxing. It's just surreal. It's bizarre. It feels like a joke. And he has, in many ways, become a meme. The things that he does have become a meme. He's a spectacle. The things he does are spectacles. And throughout the internet, we have always been drawn to personalities that create spectacles and that are just slightly outside of the norm. People who are unusual and unpredictable and even weird and uncomfortable to watch attract a lot more attention than people who are perfectly polished or just beautiful conventional creators. He fits into this category almost exclusively. Because whether you're watching him as a role model, out of curiosity, or even as a cautionary tale, again, we're all still watching. People are clipping moments from his streams, posting them online, causing debates and discussions about the things that he says and that he does. And that is the fuel behind his fire. It's so hard to grow a loyal fan base nowadays. Creators grow through constant discussion, controversy, clips. Every debate, every discussion pushes the content further into the algorithm, which means that the more polarizing a creator is, likely the larger their reach is. Another creator I can think of who kind of represents this is Natalie Reynolds. And Clavicular is one of the clearest examples of this phenomenon. In a lot of ways, I think his rise to fame says a lot about the current state of the internet. A decade ago, somebody from an online forum like Looksmaxing would have stayed incredibly contained in their corner of the internet. Their ideas, discussions, the culture would only circulate amongst the people who were directly involved in that space. But today, the internet is so different. Platforms are built around algorithms that prioritize engagement above everything else. Content that gets engagement is typically unusual, controversial, emotionally charged, or sometimes flat out gross. This content causes people to feel strongly. And when people feel strongly with content, they engage in it. And that's what clavicular streams produce. They produce moments that people want to immediately react to. Because whether you're finding him inspiring or concerning and absurd, You are reacting, discussing, and pushing the content. He's not just a product of the looks maxing community. He's a product of our attention. The internet today rewards personalities that are so extreme, often that spark debate or are unpredictable, because they keep people curious and they keep people coming back. When a creator manages to sit right in the sweet spot of that, they can grow so quickly. And that explains why somebody who started posting on such a niche forum as a teenager is now being written about by major news publications. Whether people are seeing him as concerning, fascinating, entertaining, there's one very clear thing, is that he has managed to garner all of our attention. And in this day and age, attention is pretty much the most powerful currency you can have online. Thank you so much if you stayed to the end. I'm always open to your ideas and I'd love to hear your opinions below. And please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.